Welcome to Friday 13th YouTube channel Metalheads. Today we're going to be talking about the new album by Shakra. It's called Invincible, which was released on the 9th of June on AFM Records. Now, the band were formed back in 1997, back in Switzerland, and they've released 13 albums. This really does say a lot about a band that are still going strong after 13 albums. Now, the band released their debut album, which was self-titled back in 1998, released on Point Music. In 1999, the band would release their second album, which was called Moving Force, which was also on Point Music. In 2003, the band would release their fourth album. This was on Nothing to Say Records. It was called Rising. In 2005, the band would release the next album. This was called Fall. This was the very first release for AFM Records. Since then, the band have stayed with the label and continued to write fantastic albums and a strong bond between the band and the label. Now, I have to say that Shakra's music does compare to two other bands from Switzerland. We have Crystal Ball and also Gotthard. Mix those two bands together and you get the formation and the sound of Shakra. And the current lineup for the band, we have Mark Fox on vocals. We have Thom Blunier on guitars. We'd have Thomas Muster on guitars. We'd have Dominik Pfister on bass. And we'd have Roger Tanner on drums. Now, this new album would consist of 12 songs, and the production was done by guitarist Thomas and Muster and also Thomas Blunier. The artwork was also done by vocalist Mark Fox. Now, this new album is a little bit more heavy than what they've done in previous albums. Kind of reminds me a little bit of vocally wise by Mystic Prophecy. The music sometimes also reminds me of Pretty Maids, another fantastic band from Denmark. And now, I'd also have to say that the band do remind me of a little bit of Jaded Heart, a fantastic band formed in Germany. And if you really are a fan of Crystal Ball or Gotthard, or maybe a little bit of AC/DC, then this is a fantastic album for you. It's melodic, it's powerful, some fantastic guitaring and playing by the rest of the band, and some fantastic vocals by Mark Fox. Now, you could also say there could be a slight hint of the Dead Daisies in this album. So if you like the Dead Daisies, especially the albums with John on vocals, then you're pretty much going to like this album. Now, the more I listen to this album, the vocals by Mark remind me of Michael Voss, who's also with the band Mad Max. And so now I'm going to tell you what the song titles are for this album. We open up with The Way It Is, The Matrix Unfolds, Invincible, Devil's Left Hell, On the Wild Side, Old Irish Song, Tell Her That I'm Sorry, As I Lay Down to Sleep, House of Rock, Walls of Hate, Between the Lines, and the last song is called As Long as I'm Alive. Now, the opening track is called The Way It Is. This is kind of a hard rock blues song. It's definitely got a vibe of the Southern blues. And it kind of comes across between Mad Max meets the Dead Daisies. It's a pretty cool opening track. Now, the next song is called The Matrix Unfolds. This kind of reminds me a little bit of Motorhead. I'm not saying it sounds like Motorhead, but it's got that dirty undertone sound. It's a really cool song, and it's certainly heavier than the debut song. Now, the next song is called Invincible. This is actually the heaviest song on the album. It kind of reminds me of Pretty Maids at times. It also comes with a detuned guitar sound to give it that extra added crunch. I also like the vibe of the double bass drumming in certain parts of the song. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a cross between Pretty Maids and Jaded Heart. Now, the next song is called Devil's Left Hell. This kind of reminds me of a cross between Def Leppard and AC/DC. Nothing wrong with that. If you like those type of bands, you're going to enjoy this song. It's well arranged. There's some great vocals, some really good drumming parts on this song. Really strongly put together. And it's certainly a song for people like Def Leppard and also AC/DC. Next song is called On the Wild Side. This kind of reminds me of Dead Daisies meets AC/DC. Now, that's one thing I've noticed about this band. They're very influenced by AC/DC. Next song is called The Old Irish Song. This is a pretty up-tempo song, but don't expect it to sound very Celtic or like Thin Lizzy. It's nothing like that whatsoever. The song title may suggest that. Mark's vocals are fantastic. Both guitarists, Thomas, have done a fantastic job with some fantastic rhythm sections by Dominik and Roger. Next song is called Tell Her That I'm Sorry. This is a pretty much an up-tempo song, middle of the road. Now, the next song is a semi-ballad. It's called As I Lay Down to Sleep. This kind of reminds me of early Bonfire, especially with Klaus on vocals. So if you're a fan of Bonfire, this song in particular you're going to like. Next song is called House of Rock. This kind of reminds me of AC/DC and also Axel Rudi Pell. So if you're a fan of Axel Rudi Pell's music and AC/DC, this is a song for you. It's very up-tempo. It's a pleasant song. Great song indeed. It's a pretty good album all around. It's got a solid production, really nicely put together, well produced. Like I said, if you are a fan of AC/DC more than any other acts that I've mentioned, then you're really going to like this. I think they're a pretty cool band. Not particularly a massive fan of the music, but I respect what they've done. They've done 13 albums. Much respect to these guys. I'm going to give this album 4 out of 5. So if you're a fan of AC/DC, Pretty Maids, Axel Rudi Pell, Bonfire, and this is for you. So check out the album. It's by Shakra. The album's called Invincible, released on AFM Records. Thanks for watching, Metalheads. Be safe.